Hey everybody, it's Jay Mohr. I will be at the Irvine Improv, Orange County, baby, December 15th through December 18th. It's one of the greatest comedy clubs in the country. You guys know why. We get it going when we're down there. Thanks for coming out in advance. I'll see you at the Irvine Improv, December 15th through 18th. Holler!
Put your name on it. Just put your name on it. That's all I say. Be a man or a woman. Put your name on it.
Well, I'd like to hear about it, potheads.
How the fuck you gonna know how to be great if you don't study greatness? Look at the game tape.
Thursday night, everybody, as they say in the Dirty Bird. Happy Thursday night, everybody, yeah. I love everybody. Or Friday morning, or whenever it is, you receive Mohr Stories, the number 5 podcast in America in the subcategory of comedy. Are you guys really going to let Mark Maron walk away with this title? We started so strong. Doesn't matter. You know why? Put my name on it. I'm like combing the streets for guests. I'm very lucky. I don't say that as a negative on Mark Maron. I say it as a negative of me. Because I go, wow, people on Twitter have been asking for Barry Katz to come back a lot. And they have gags for him. People are writing like Barry Katz haiku. So instead of going after the John Hams, the Alec Baldwins, the Neil Tysons, the astrophysicists, the Mike Tysons. Why do that? When you can just have a guy drive in from Malibu with 102 fever on Thursday after the rains. Jeez Louise. Cat, should we build an ark? What's going on in the west side here?
I actually swam over here.
Yeah. Jews don't swim.
I'm so honored that I
beat you to it.
Yes, you did. I'm so honored that I made the cut that, all those great people, and I was your first choice after those amazing people.
Well, Nick Swartzen's coming by, but he couldn't do it today. Bert's out of town. Tommy's out of town. No, I'm kidding.
I got a great Nick Swartzen story when you're ready.
I'm ready.
You ready?
I just said I'm ready. What are
this
we
is
arguing
amazing.
About? I just said I'm worried about the weight. What are we arguing about?
This is incredible. So when I was representing Nick a long time ago, when I had my office in New York, I remember this. He had done a comedy festival, and he was represented by a manager by Dave Becky, and Dave invites him out on his birthday. I think it's his 19th birthday.
19th?
19th birthday, and he takes him out to lunch. And basically, Dave fires him at the lunch.
Dave fires Nick?
In other words, resigns from working with him.
After a comedy festival?
Yeah, after the comedy festival. And
because of all the vodka? Complaints?
So Nick thought he was, getting the celebratory lunch. And then, so after the lunch, he actually just walked right over to my office because I always loved the guy. And he said...
So Nick got fired at Ribs USA.
Something like that.
In Burbank. No, then came across the street, still wearing his bib, and said... diarrhea?
Actually, it was in New York, but that's not the great story. Right. So this is actually for every artist who listens to this podcast to know what it takes to get to the next level. So this was a young kid. One day he calls me, he says, I want you to meet me in your office on Saturday. I said, Saturday? Why can't I wait? I need to come over Saturday. I need to fax something. I said, great. He comes over, he has a backpack, he unzips the backpack, he takes out one of those spiral notebooks. You know the ones where you rip off the pages and all that shit comes flying off of it?
Yeah, chads, dangling chads we learned from Florida.
Dangling chads.
It's like I'm screaming into this, am I?
So
with the moan from Fast Times at Ridgemont High over here.
So he opens up the notebook, and on the notebook, he has handwritten the front page of what appears to be a screenplay called Suckers, written by Nick Swartzen. Suckers with a Z. And I say, what is that? I start flipping the pages. He has written an entire screenplay by hand. 100-page screenplay by hand. He starts ripping off this thing with all
It's
the
a
things
little long,
falling.
Katz. Yeah, be honest with you, 100 pages. Yeah, they get out quick at 80. 20 pages of special effects. Let the director do his job. Imply his vision.
And so we start, cutting the things off. He starts faxing it, gets done with it. I'm like, who are you faxing this to? He says, I'm faxing it to Jamie Kennedy. I told him the idea. He said, write it up. I'm faxing it to him. I don't really have a computer. He faxes it to him. Ends up going to fax and Adam and the Warner Brothers studio. Ends up getting the commitment to make it. It becomes Malibu Most Wanted, and that was the first thing that he ever wrote. And he was
I
a
didn't
part
even
of it.
know Nick wrote that.
Yes. And so that's what I wanted to say was the lesson to any artist out there is that if you're wondering why you're not getting to the next level or how you get to the next level, it's no secret. You take anybody. I'm just going to take somebody obscure. Take Rain Pryor. Richard Pryor.
You could have said anybody, but you picked Rain Pryor.
This is why I picked Rain Pryor.
You put you with them.
Rain Pryor, obviously Richard Pryor's daughter.
Oh.
There's one time that Rain Pryor was like, holy shit, Rain Pryor. You got to see Rain Pryor. When she did her one-person show, it's no secret that she wrote, created, starred in, produced, and did something. And that's when everybody said, hey, I'm not looking at her like the daughter of Richard Pryor. I'm looking at you like you are an amazing artist. Because
When was that?
Probably about 5 years ago.
Did you see it?
I did not, but I heard all about it, no, but the thing is,
No, it's just your timing. You're just one of the inadvertently most funny people I've ever met. You're like Martin Short in The Big Picture. Look, I don't know what you do. I've never seen your work. But you're incredibly talented. I'm wrong about these things.
well, this is
It was the greatest show anyone had ever seen. Did you see it? No. But I did hear people talking about it on the street.
But this is what I'm going to say about that.
Yes, sir.
Comedians are like grandparents, and you hear when somebody's doing it. If in music, if a musical artist is getting a standing ovation in Arcadia, Florida, no one fucking knows about it. If a comedian is getting standing ovations in Arcadia, Florida, you hear about it, everybody knows, and everybody talks about it.
Yes and no. If bands are getting standing ovations, usually it's general admission and there's no fucking seats. Anyway. But gang, yeah, of course you get a standing ovation, Kings of Leon, when the first 800 people are standing on a sticky wood floor at the fucking Audubon Ballroom.
The point I'm trying to make here...
Comics, you really think that spreads when comics get standing ovations?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because white comics, for those of you who don't know...
We had to go into race.
I'm going into race.
This is the first race-free podcast.
I'm sorry.
Even Jeremy Guthrie was saying horrible things about Vladimir Guerrero. I got very uncomfortable.
I'm going into race, but in a good way.
All right.
White comedians who are starting out are the rarest to get standing ovations. It's very difficult as a white comic to get a standing ovation because white audiences are not as giving. They're not as bad to a white comic. Let me rephrase that. White audiences are forgiving of comedy that is mediocre or not as strong as normal. They're polite and they're forgiving. Black audiences are not forgiving of comedians that are mediocre, but they are giving if you are doing something that's extraordinary.
Me and Segura talked about this a lot. And I also think white audiences are more inured to just comedy in general. Like they just know the rhythm of it, and they're just watch way more sitcoms than maybe black people do. So Rain, you said, going back, because I'm not going to get a sidetrack, and I don't interrupt as much as I used to when you did the first podcast. You said that anybody out there that's struggling and trying to do it, the one way to get over and the one way to ensure that you put your name on it, that's what you were going for. And you brought Rain Pryor up as an example, and Nick Swartzen was an example of it.
Always. And so a lot of comedians, they come to me and they say, well, what do I got to do to make it? And I always say, the first thing you got to do, and some of these things we might have touched slightly on, is you got to kill 10 times in your home club, which means that, let's say you're a regular at the Improv in LA. 10 times in a row, you got to go there. You got to have the best set of the night. That means every audience member polled says you're the best. The waitresses say you're the best. The manager, the bar back, the waiters, the comedians who hate you. If 10 times in a row you go on and do that, get a helmet. It's all over. That's the first thing you got to do, because then you'll be, people will be chasing you like your ass is on fire. So that's the first thing you got to do. And the second thing you got to do is you got to create for yourself. You got to do things for yourself. Why is Whitney Cummings on the air? Well, a lot of people are negative, positive, whatever. The bottom line is she wouldn't be on the air if she didn't write her own script and produce her own script and pitch her own script and do it, or she'd never be on the air. So regardless of what you think of the show, the fact is she's on the air. Now, Ray Romano, on the other hand, he did stand up on Letterman, this is another great story of how things can happen. I was representing Jeff Ross at the time. I don't even know if you know the story. So Jeff Ross does
You could slam a revolving door. The amount of people that come and go.
You don't have to be cruel.
No, I'm fat, and everyone's on good terms.
Great terms. Love these people.
I don't understand. Whatever. Go ahead.
So another thing you can do.
Like who? I'm sorry.
Don't.
No, I will ask Matt. Like, who are you going to from Katz? Like a guy with this much wisdom and insight.
Well, a lot of times, people like, the Chappelles or people like that, they go and they have their own life and family first, and they don't take on anybody else. Some people do, some don't. It's like just the way it is. It's just part of the business.
I did interrupt. You were
You did
representing
interrupt.
Jeff Ross.
So another way that a comic can really take it to the next level is if you do a set on television that is absolutely undeniable and extraordinary. And what I say by that is that in these days, in competitive times, the set cannot be good, it can't be very good, it can't be excellent. It has to be like a fucking bomb going off.
I've always said when I'll do like a rehearsal for a corporate show or NHL awards, and I say, "How was that?" and somebody goes, "Pretty good." I go back and I do it again. I go, "I'm not in the pretty good business."
That's right. You can't be in the pretty good business. You can't even be in the excellent business these days because things are so competitive. You joked and said you're the 5th podcast. Well, that's out of God knows thousands and thousands and thousands of podcasts, which means you're in the top 1% of 1%. Not good enough for you, apparently, because
I'm fine with it. I don't really
you want whatever, but you want to be. Everybody wants to be the best. So at the time when Jeff Ross was about to do his first Letterman show, Letterman is and I just want to say this because I don't want to get in trouble. Letterman is the gold standard of late night television for comedians. It doesn't mean that Jay Leno isn't an extraordinary comedian and a great person and an amazing show. It just means that for some reason all the comedians feel like if you can do Letterman, then that's the gold standard. And if you can do Leno, that's great too. But normally what happens is it's like a sliding scale. So if there's 10 comedians that do Letterman, normally, I would say conservatively 5 to 7 of them are comedians that are the most respected within the industry, and 3 might not be.
Stephen Wright, Bill Hicks.
Yeah, and then if
Brian
you go,
Regan,
and then if you
Mitch
look,
Hedberg.
yeah, and then if you look at the comedians who do Leno, normally it's the reverse curve. It doesn't mean that they're not great comics. It doesn't mean that I don't love them or you don't love them. It just means that if you were to poll the comedy scene as a whole, they would say, hey, I don't have as much cred for this person on Leno as I have for that on Letterman. That doesn't mean that Jay doesn't pull some great ones out of his hat and bring some people in, and they have a great staff and they do amazing things.
Pull Jimmy Norton in regularly.
Yeah, like so another one, Jim Norton.
Smart move. I mean, he's up the street from Letterman. I don't know why.
Yeah, so Jim Norton's a great example. And what's really odd about it is that Leno is a juggernaut, is a force of nature. It's the highest rated show there's 2 million more people that watch his show than any other show. It doesn't matter that he went
late night TV.
On late night TV. It doesn't matter that he went to 10 o'clock and failed and came back. He still does it. So people, if you were to poll, let's say, all the comedians in the country and said, and in a hidden poll, not your name is on it. We wouldn't put their name on it. Which show would you rather do for your first set, Letterman or Leno? I personally believe that over 90% would say Letterman. And again, I don't know why per se, because I know Jay. He's unbelievably great to the comedians. He's so supportive. He's amazing. I always found his stand-up to be amazing. And I always found Letterman's stand-up maybe sometimes when I watched it to be a little more inconsistent and alternative. But, and Leno, when he went on the road, he was the number one guy. He used to go to Nick's Comedy Stop in Boston, sell out every show. He was the only guy who went out consistently. Still works amazingly, but that's the way it is. So what I wanted to go back to Jeff Ross is, so we got a shot to do
Let Mark Maron walk away with this title? We started so strong. Doesn't matter. You know why? Put my name on it. I'm like combing the streets for guests. I'm very lucky. I don't say that as a negative on Mark Maron. I say it as a negative of me. Because I go, wow, people on Twitter have been asking for Barry Katz to come back a lot. And they have gags for him. People are writing.
Hear about it, potheads.
How the fuck you gonna know how to be great if you don't study greatness? Look at the game tape.
Like Barry Katz haiku. So instead of going after the John Hams, the Alec Baldwins, the Neil Tysons, the astrophysicists, the Mike Tysons, why do that when you can just have a guy drive in from Malibu with 102 fever on Thursday after the rains? Jeez Louise. Kat, should we build an ark? What's going on in the West Side here?
I actually swam over here.
Yeah. Jews don't swim. Happy Thursday night, everybody, as they say in the Dirty Bird. Happy Thursday night, everybody, yeah. I love everybody. Or Friday morning, or whenever it is you receive Mohr Stories, the number 5 podcast in America in the subcategory of comedy. Are you guys really going to laugh? Hey everybody, it's Jay Mohr. I will be at the Irvine Improv, Orange County, baby, December 15th through December 18th. It's one of the greatest comedy clubs in the country. You guys know why. We get it going when we're down there. Thanks for coming out in advance. I'll see you at the Irvine Improv, December 15th through 18th. Holler!
Put your name on it. Just put your name on it. That's all I say. Be a man or woman. Put your name on it.
Well, I'd like to